flames that destroyed a Brookline apartment building earlier this week, an amazing story of survival is now being told.
9 fires broke out on campuses across the nation over 3 weeks in January and February 2012. A fire is in the headlines but then quickly is replaced by other breaking news, and we never hear of the true impact of these fires. This documentary tells of this impact, what happens after the headlines fade. It tells the rest of the story. In January and February 2012, fires broke out on the campuses of the University of Wisconsin at La Crosse, Arizona State University, Portland State University, and Hampden-Sydney College, all in on-campus student housing. They all provide valuable lessons on what can go right, but also what can go wrong. At the University of Wisconsin at La Crosse, a fire started in the middle of the night in a basement lounge. The fire caused significant damage to the building's infrastructure. Smoke spread throughout the 4 stories through unprotected openings and pipe chases. The good news is no one was injured in the fire. However, the building was closed down for an entire semester, forcing the university to find new housing for 271 students.
If you think this can't happen on your campus, you're naive, because it can.
My room was just off of the lobby. It was the first room to the left. So I was sleeping in bed when the fire alarms went off.
Started to advance into the room. The conditions in the room were very, very hot, very smoky. Visibility was down to 0.
Once I got outside and the doors were open and all the oxygen was let in, then the smoke started piling up into the lobby and into the stairways, and that's when I realized, okay, something's actually going on.
All of the students were very concerned about the fact that there might still be someone in the building. At that point, we didn't know for sure that everybody was out safe, so everybody was really worried about the rest of the people in their community.
Having a good evacuation and emergency plan in place comes in very handy if you actually have an emergency.
People said, all right, I'm going to evacuate and I'm going to relocate, but hey, I've got all kinds of, my books, my computer, my clothing. When can I get back in there to get those things? We are in Drake Hall, where we've had the recent fire, and not many of us get to see what a fire looks like. And I thought when I came in and saw this, it was so devastating. It really impresses on you the seriousness of being safe when you hear a fire alarm. But this is where investigators believe the fire began, and in this couch area, and you can see it is just devastated. And thank God no one was down here when that happened, because I don't know how they would have got out. But this is why it's so important. When we hear fire alarms in our buildings, we might think, oh, it's just an alarm or a drill or whatever, but it can be the real thing, and it really has changed the way I think about fire safety, and we wanted people to see that for themselves, because this will get cleaned up and life goes back to normal, but it's important to see the devastation. I fully anticipate that we will have students from Drake Hall who will have had academic difficulty, and there will be conversations and appeals about probation and things like that. And we'll have to take this into account, what impact this experience had on that student's ability to do the typical academic performance.
You pushed it out of the way. I was, reorganizing people to help them get their stuff back in, to kind of just cope with how I was feeling, and didn't want to really think about the actual reality of what was happening. And then that night, I definitely had a little bit of a mental breakdown of oh my gosh, I don't have a place to live, I'm futon hopping. It was really difficult, and the week after was definitely hard. I, skipped meals and stuff like that, because it was just you don't think something like that you got out of the building fine, you didn't get burned, none of your friends died or anything. You don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on you, but just the fact that you were homeless and your life, your schedule is completely changed and thrown for a loop.
Had there been sprinklers in the dormitory, this would have really been a non-issue. It would have been what I would have called probably a more of a routine fire. Probably within, I would say, 2 3 hours maximum, the students would have been back in the dormitory. And the only thing that would have been shut down would have been just that particular area. There probably would have been little to no damage to the communication system. There would have been little to no disruption in the UW's mission of providing education experience to their students.
Drake Hall reopened 6 months later after extensive repairs to the electrical system and telecommunications. Vertical pipe chases, which had spread the smoke throughout the building, were repaired and sealed. The building had to be cleaned and painted because of the smoke damage on all 4 floors. Unfortunately, an automatic fire sprinkler system was not installed in the building during the 6-month renovation. However, the university does plan to add fire sprinklers to all its residence halls over the next few years. There were 2 fires in residence halls that had automatic fire sprinklers, one at Arizona State University and one at Portland State University in Oregon. At Arizona State University, the fire department found smoke coming from a room on the upper floor of a high-rise residence hall, and just as they opened the door, the sprinkler head activated, controlling the fire, which started in a trash can. At Portland State University, the fire department responded to a 10-story residence hall. A trash chute ran the height of the building, and the trash had backed up from the basement to above the 2nd floor. A cigarette was thrown into the chute, setting the trash on fire. Fortunately, an automatic fire sprinkler system put out the blaze. Both of these sprinkler saves were short stories on the news as opposed to the fire at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. They had very little damage, and the students were back in their rooms within hours, demonstrating the roles that sprinklers can play in protecting students in residence halls. At Hampden-Sydney College in Virginia, some students are housed in college-owned theme houses which are similar to a fraternity. In one such house, students spotted a fire in a couch on the attached porch and thought they had put it out using cups of water. In the middle of the night, the fire broke out again and then spread into the house. All of the students got out, but one student didn't realize his friend had escaped and went back in to find him, crawling on his hands and knees below the smoke. He was severely burned, and the building was totally destroyed.
Basically, I woke up with Matt Maloney, the redheaded guy in here. He ran upstairs and woke all of us up. Apparently, he had woken up first because his roommate woke him up, and they had realized there was a glow coming in. They smelled smoke, and the fire alarms actually had not gone off. So our porch outside was completely up in flames by the time we were awake. So they tried to go put it out, but the flames burst in the windows and started coming into the house. That's about the time that they ran upstairs to wake us up. By the time we got to the stairs, the fire got into the house and the smoke had really gotten thick and we couldn't even see. So there was only one real exit on the back of the house outside of the porch exit, which was complete flames. We couldn't see anything, so we didn't really know what we were running into. We were going down. It's definitely something I'll never take lightly again, especially concerning my family and everything. Smoke detectors just beeping and annoying me. I'll take the battery out and leave it alone. Just actually be mindful of your surroundings. It's a very simple thing you can do that will go a long way, and you never know when some kind of tragedy like this will strike.
A number of fires have started in upholstered furniture on porches, and some of these have been fatal fires. The problem is the fire gets a good head start on the porch where there are no smoke detectors or fire sprinklers before it spreads into the building. Now it is growing, cutting off escape paths, spreading smoke. Preventing these types of fires is vitally important, but knowing what to do when they do break out can save lives.